Hey everyone, welcome back to Elemental Cartomancy. Today I'm coming on to film a walkthrough, and this is a walkthrough of an amazing deck that I'm loving right now. It's the AFRO Goddess Tarot Arcanas by ANDREA FURTICK. Um, so it comes in this beautiful velvet, is it? No, more suede than velvet to be honest, but it comes in this beautiful bag, and inside this we get a nice matte um, magnetic flip box. So the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcana, first edition, illustrated and written by Andrea Furtick. This I got from Little Red Tarot. It is an independent deck, um, and it says who it's printed by on the back there. So it opens magnetically like this, as a nice sturdy tuck box as you would expect. It says, for there is a most divine strength encased within the passion for wisdom and nestled in the cycle of external existence. And by the alignment of both wisdom and action, your destiny shall be revealed. So the inside the box, we get the cards. Whoops. We have the cards, we have the book, and we also have this little magnifying glass. Now, I believe that what this is for, so the writing in the book, as you can see, is quite small. So you can use the magnifying glass, just makes it a bit easier to read. Now, I can read this fine. It doesn't really bother me the size of the font, and I'm supposed to wear glasses to read. I've got astigmatism. So my vision isn't 100% or 20/20 as they say. And I can read this fine. So I don't think it's going to cause most people any issues. But obviously for some it will. So it's fine because obviously, and this is the only deck that I know that I've ever come across that's included a magnifying glass. I think it's brilliant. It's good because not only does it help you read the book, but I mean, it lets us kind of look at some of the finer details, on the deck. This is obviously a tool that I've now got that I can use for other decks if I'm wanting to look at them a bit closer. So I think this was a really nice little touch that Andrea's kind of added in. The book is brilliant. It basically describes what we see on the card and gives us detail. It tells us about the image. It tells us about the interpretation upright and the kind of a shadow or reversed interpretation. So it gives us everything that we need. There's no illustrations in the book, but I don't particularly need that in a book, to be honest. So yeah, and I think there's some spreads in here as well, actually. Yeah, so again, it doesn't like kind of go right into loads and loads of detail about spreads, but it does give different ideas for 3 card spreads. I think does it say about a 1 card? No, I don't think so. So it gives us loads of different ideas for 3 card spreads. So like past, present, future, self, mutual dynamic, and partner, etc., etc. You can see all of them there. Um, so yeah, I think this is really good. It's a great deck, I think, for beginners. Both in the way the cards are, the information that we get on each card, and this the different 3 card spreads kind of idea. So I'm really impressed with the book. I think it's really nice, and it has this kind of a rose petal finish on the cover. Let's have a look at the cards then. So these are the backs. Now I'm going to try and do this so you can see. Oh yeah, you can really see it because of my ring light. Um, the backs are gloss, and we can see we've got the continent of Africa here, and we have this kind of a pattern in the background. They're black, absolutely stunning. I really like these backs, and not just aesthetically, not just to look at and to feel, but functionally as well, because the front of the deck is this soft matte. I think it's like kind of a rose petal finish. Now, Usually when you're dealing with rose petal on rose petal, it makes shuffling cards quite difficult, but because we've got rose petal on matte, the cards, I think it makes the cards easier to handle. So really impressed, and as you can see, it's got this brush gold edging, and it's the same kind of a edging that we see in the Brady Tarot. So that's what we've got there. And just to give you a size comparison, they are quite big cards. That's it compared to the standard Smith weight. So a fair bit broader and a small bit taller. So let's have a flip through. Let's get a bit more zoomed in and have a flip through these cards. So we can see on the full card we do have the title. Um, I actually thought this was just a title card at first, and just kind of I put it to one side, and then I started going through and I was like, oh, that's strange, they don't have the full. I thought maybe it's at the end, and then I thought, oh, where's my full card? And then it occurred to me that this is the full card, and obviously it says it down the bottom. I had just missed that. Um, so the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas, the full, and we have this stunning image. The artwork is really exquisite in this deck. You'll probably hear me comment on how beautiful the art and the cards is various times in the course of this video. I don't know why this seems to be. Oh, it's maybe just because of the way I was moving my hands, it's affecting the zoom on my on my camera. Um, so yeah, yeah, it's kind of the camera's doing something funny. It's kind of almost pulsing. Hmm. Let's see if we can fix that. Right, I'm going to leave it like that. That seems to be okay, and it's not so far out that we can't see the cards. So here we have the full. Stunning card. We have this kind of a city in the background. We have the red feather, we have the white rose, and the rather than like a like a wee bag on a stick, we have the kind of a bag hanging from our hand. And the fool is topless. That really works for me because for me, the fool is about new beginnings and throwing yourself into something new. But the fool is the kind of a blank slate. The fool has no kind of a preconceptions or, you know, no idea of what's appropriate and what's not because it's like they've never it's the total fresh slate, never experienced it before. You know, they're not kind of a prejudiced by previous experience. So when we see full cards where someone is perhaps naked, maybe we've got a newborn baby who's, you know, who's just fresh into the world. Maybe we've got someone dancing through the streets, not caring what anyone thinks. That really works for me because not only can I see that kind of a newness, you know, the new opportunity, I can also get the kind of a gives zero fucks, but because you know, they don't know any better, that kind of a thing. So anyway, we have our magician. I mean, we see the magician here with we see the lightning, the cup, the pentacle, the sword, and do we have a wand? I'm not sure, but stunning magician nonetheless. Our high priestess, she's sitting on the books. Whoops. And we have the black and the white pillars. The Empress is really, really beautiful. So rather than having the crown of the 12 stars, we see the 12 symbols of the zodiac around, excuse me, around about the Empress. Our Emperor, Hierophant, the Lovers, Chariot. Strength, we do have strength in position 8 and justice in 11 here. This is very much kind of inspired by the Smith-Waite system, from what I can see. I love the lion's mane in this card. I think it's just stunning. The Hermit. I think if we look close, believe that, is that the third eye? Or is that just a gem or something that's on her head? I think that's the Hermit's third eye is wide open. So really stunning, and brings a kind of a new, a new bit of symbolism that we maybe perhaps don't normally see in the Hermit. Wheel of Fortune. Justice. Justice is really, really nice. So you've got a lot of kind of a contrast and symbolism, the tear, so it looks like she's crying, but she's kind of a smiling, smirking. Quite, the red and the kind of almost just the seductive kind of a nature of her, and yet holding people at bay with the sword. Get the red in the dress and the blue in the hair. I just love the kind of extremes, and it's funny because quite often justice is about not going to extremes, it's about finding that kind of a balance in the middle. I suppose that's more temperance I'm talking about, isn't it? But I feel that justice can sometimes bear that message depending on where it comes up. The Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. The Star. The Moon. I love this depiction with the waters being parted. So it's just such a powerful image. And then we have the full moon behind them. Really, really nice. The sun. And all around the sun here we have I'm not really sure what these symbols are. At first glance, actually, I thought that they were equations, like scientific equations, but they're not. Probably say in the book, actually. Let's have a look at the book, and that way um, we'll get a feel for what kind of information the book gives. So I'm going to try and hold this so you can see it and read along with me. Card 19, the Sun, is one of the most positive cards in the deck. Even when the sun is covered with clouds, know it, being you as your truest self is always there. Here, our goddess is completely visible, even though she is covered with a sheer orange gown. This signifies that she is both physically present, true, and well intended, as well as being in possession of certain strength of the unconscious mind. The four sunflowers in her hair represent the four elements, and the surrounding wheat stem from the sun as rays, just as your blessings surround you. For your will is your destiny, so mote it be. This is the message of the sun. So whatever your will, let it shine. And so it says, when the sun card is received, this is a time to open our hearts to true self-compassion and experience joy, appreciation and gratitude. It also is a well-deserved time of success, radiance and abundance for all the work that you've put in on the Fool's journey. At this time, allow yourself to know that you're truly blessed. Find joy in this card, as it is absolutely one of optimism and fulfillment. And then for the reversal, it says the sun urges you to look deeply at the positive or bright side of life. It asks you to be more optimistic and childlike by learning to let go of your worries, even if only temporarily. But the sun reversed can also indicate being too optimistic. Confidence is great, but do be sure that you're not taking on more than you can actually handle. So I don't think it's telling us about what the symbols are around about, which was what we were trying to find out. But absolutely stunning card nonetheless. Judgment, another really nice card. I love the the stairway through the sky. I love the kind of the portal, or what looks to me to be a portal anyway. The world. And we do have an extra card in this deck, and that is the Supreme. So let me just read again and tell you what the Supreme is, what it means. Well, there's quite a lot of information on this actually. I'll maybe just read the first paragraph. So it says, all is connected, all is you, and at all times you have the power to connect fully and be your all-powerful self, the Supreme. From stardust, their immortal souls arise and merge into form, and by destiny an occurrence just as rare as the sight of an eclipse shall ascend a true force, the Supreme. Her pure intentions are blessed by the universe as she caresses a journey that moves at the pace of her will. She is guided by her ancestors and merging all her lessons to accomplish her goals. This resilient goddess is at no time defeated because she knows she is indeed a true goddess, only bound by mortal form, and all that she wishes at all times is possible. So I'll just keep reading. So, know the power of the Supreme is divine. This is a time to accept yourself as the all-powerful goddess that you are. You are every moment in time, both individually and as a collective history and future. By ways of your womb, hand, and mind, your desires shall manifest. Rain is both the creator and the creation, for you are protected. The universe and all your ancestors are waiting to aid you. All you need is confidence, and you are indeed who you are. And that you are indeed who you are, the Supreme. Utilize all that you know intellectually and spiritually to create the eternal success that you're capable of. You can do it. So, kind of just bringing everything together with the Supreme there. So that just gives you an idea of what the intended interpretation was behind it. So on to the suits then. So we'll first go through the suit of wands. So we have our ace, our two. So we can see the nod to Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's not a clone by any means. Andrea FURTICK has clearly done her own thing with it. Absolutely stunning. So we really get this idea of kind of of looking out, of planning the journey ahead, building your portal. It's the expression that I always use with this card, with the two of wands. The three of wands, so you've planned, you've built your portal, you've planned the journey ahead. Now it's time to actually set off on that journey, and we see this goddess is setting off on her journey. The Four of Wands. So there's achievement. There's no need for me to go through the meanings like I'm doing, but I just love this deck. 5. See the conflict, competition coming together. The 6. 7 of Wands. I love how, so she has her back to the wands that are kind of a coming at her, in a way that might be quite disarming. But if you look at how she's holding that wand, you kind of get this impression that she's, you know, if you cross her or if you mess with her, or if you know, go about this the wrong way, she'll have that momentum to swing that wand round and, take all 6 other wands out of the game. So not only have we got the usual kind of a 7 of Wands feel where it's like, assessment and, standing your ground, all of that kind of a thing, but it brings in that different element of, be careful not to underestimate your opponent or yourself. Maybe you are the goddess and the 7 of Wands, and you're being asked not to underestimate yourself and your own abilities. The 8 of Wands. So we get the structure, giving way to the momentum. Love the backgrounds as well, like that beautiful sun. The 9. And the 10. Our daughter of wands. So rather than pages, we have daughters. Rather than knights, we have sons. I love, is this a rhinoceros, I think? So I love how he's riding that rather than the standard horse. The goddess, as opposed to the queen. And what a beautiful goddess she is. And the god of wands. So instead of page, knight, queen, king, we have daughter, son, goddess, and god. Swords. So we have our ace, we have our 2 of swords, 3 of swords. Standard kind of a Smithway, Solabuska imagery here, but we do have this snake at the top of the 3rd sword, the sword in the middle. Now, snakes for me aren't necessarily a symbol. Well, I don't read them as a symbol for, evil. I have 2 pet snakes and I love snakes. So I look at them as a symbol of perhaps knowledge, wisdom, transformation, even like when we think about the shedding of the snake's skin. Complexity, sure. It perhaps indicates that the issue isn't as straightforward as it might seem at first glance. Um, but yeah, 4 of swords. Oops, 5. So these are 4 opponents that have laid down their arms and surrendered to our goddess in the forefront of the card here. She's maybe going a bit overboard with the celebrating her victory. She's maybe not really thinking it through. I don't know if I would be licking anyone's blood off a sword, no matter how happy I was to have won the battle. Six of Swords. When you read what she says in the book about this, it's actually pretty cool. So see if we look, she talks about there being two paths, and it's the paths through the trees. So there's this path here, and then there's this path, and when you look at them, one is choppy, and one is kind of a calmer waters. So rather than the usual kind of a moving from the choppy waters, moving from the, the quite tumultuous emotional situation to the calmer waters, this is indicating more of a choice between the two. And, sometimes it, this could be an indication that, the easy solution isn't always the right one. You know, you really need to kind of discern, look at the situation for yourself and judge what's best, really. Seven of Swords. So again, we have the snake here. So, I mean, I'm getting that Andrea Furtick is using the snake to be a kind of a deceitful, a negative symbol. Again, though, with the Seven of Swords, I don't always necessarily read the Seven of Swords as being a negative card. To me, the Seven of Swords is about doing what's necessary. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about problem solving. It's about thinking of an innovative and a new solution to the problem. It doesn't necessarily have to be about stealing something. Um, it can be, and quite often when it is symbolising that, if it's symbolising some sort of dishonesty, you know, maybe it is just, you know, what it appears as on the surface level. Maybe it is just indicating dishonesty. Maybe it is a dishonest situation we need to take care. Maybe on the other hand, we need to look at where it's coming from, what's motivating the dishonesty, what's behind it. Um, so yeah, it's just, I always think that the cards are kind of they're deeper than what they first appear, and this is just one of those cards that really speaks to me. The Eight of Swords. Oops, the Nine. Love this Nine of Swords card. I think it's absolutely stunning. It's so simple, but so nicely done. Just the nakedness, the vulnerability, the full moon. 10. 10 of Swords. Our Daughter of Swords. Our Son of Swords. Our Goddess. And our God of Swords. So into our into aces, into our cups. Ace, our Two of Cups, our Three, Four of Cups. So we talked about this last Thursday. I used this deck to do readings during my live, and I talked about this card because it came up a few. I think it came up a few times, or maybe it was only the once. But I love that we don't get the usual kind of we don't get the same negative vibes from the character in the Four of Cups than what we quite often tend to do. You don't look at this and think, oh, this is someone who's bored, this is someone who doesn't appreciate what they're being given or what they have, blah, 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 blah. This is someone who is content. They're sitting in a meditative state and they're content with what they've got. Yet that they might be, not seeing or refusing the fourth cup, the gift that's been offered to them. And this could be coming up as your usual Four of Cups. You need to look around and see what the gifts that are being offered to you. But at the same time, you could equally see this card and say, well, actually, you're in a place where you're content with what you've got and you're not ready to take anything else on just now, or you don't need to take anything else on just now. You're quite happy with where you are and you're working on, where you currently are before you take anything else on. So it's just nice when you can get just a slightly different message, or the message has a slightly different delivery. I love when cards do that. Five of Cups, or six, seven, eight, nine, and the 10. The daughter, the sun, the goddess, and the cup is covered in the goddess of cups, as is traditional, and well, I don't want to say traditional, but we often see that in Queen of Cups cards where the cup is covered. And our God of Cups holding the trident, the staff of Poseidon or Triton. And finally, our Pentacles suit. So we have our Ace of Pentacles with this beautiful. I love the crops that we see in this card. Really, really nice, and really has that earthy feeling. The Two of Pentacles. The Three. I love the kind of a honeycomb or beehive hexagonal pattern. Makes me think worker bees. It makes me think working together. Everyone working together is contributing a piece to the puzzle, and all working together to make up the whole. That kind of a thing. The Four, Five. See, again, this is really, really nice because we're seeing, like, she can see, this goddess can see beyond the gate where, you know, things appear better, you know. Um, but she's in this position where she's in winter. The tree at her side of the gate doesn't bear any fruit. Um, so I suppose it's a lesson or a journey for her of how, does she want to get to the other side of that gate, and if so, how does she do that? Six of Pentacles, seven, eight, the nine, the 10. This almost feels very kind of a Ten of Cups rather than Ten of Pentacles, doesn't it? Just with the rainbow and the house, and the people looking on at their house. Or Daughter of Pentacles. Kind of reminds me of the, I don't know if it's just because of the city background, the Fool. That is, it's just because of the city background I'm saying that. Our Son of Pentacles, our Goddess of Pentacles, and finally our God of Pentacles. Okay, so I've shuffled this up, just to let you know how it is to shuffle. In terms of overhand, because it's just a bit bigger than your standard kind of a tarot size, it's pretty easy, at least for me, to overhand. I've got quite big hands anyway. Even if you've got smaller hands, I think it would actually be okay. So it's actually okay to overhand kind of a long ways, more so for me at least than a normal tarot deck because it's like kind of it's more square. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. It's more square than your normal tarot deck, so it's quite broad. It's quite chunky this way in comparison to the height. So it, it's actually quite easy to overhand like this and not have the cards going everywhere. Um, riffle shuffle's lovely for me. I'm not bridging it. I'm just riffling them and then bringing them together like so. Um, the cards are quite quite sturdy, but I'm breaking it in. Obviously just bear in mind if you're riffling, then eventually you're going to wear down the edges, but I don't mind that. This is going to be a working deck for me. Um, this deck is people that know me well will know what I mean, what this means, but this is approaching. If there was any deck that was going to compete with the Light Seers for me, it would be this. So far, anyway. Um, this is a real favourite, a real fast favourite for me. Um, so it shuffles lovely. Um, in terms of a sample reading, I was thinking we could just kind of take a sample question. Now, I was talking about the three card spread examples in the book, and one of them is self, mutual dynamic, and partner. Okay. One, two, three. So I thought we could try that out and we could just take a random sample made up question. So say you have a client that comes to you and says, you know, I am looking into potentially setting up a relationship. Wow. I'm looking at, I've got my eye on this person. I quite like this person, but I'm just looking for some advice on the dynamic between us. Will we be good for each other? So let's take that as a sample question and let's see what the cards have to say about it. Whoops. So this will just let us see the cards laid out together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this face down first. So we've got the self, the mutual dynamic, and the other person, the partner. So I'm going to look at the self and the partner, and then I'm going to look at the mutual dynamic last and do it that way. So for the self, we've got the Goddess of Pentacles. So right away, your client is right where they need to be. They're very organized of their own life. They have their safe space set up. They're not looking for someone else because they need someone to complete them. They're already a goddess in their own right. So that's going to be something to bear in mind for them. If they are getting together with someone, maybe this is that depending on what card we flip over here is going to depend on how those two forces are going to interact. Some people might be quite intimidated by this. Some people might be quite turned on and drawn towards it. Okay, but the Goddess of Pentacles is like the mama bear. It's the safe space. Maybe from that point of view, actually, before we even turn any more cards, we want to say to the client, look, you're getting the Goddess of Pentacles. I'm seeing that you're maybe a bit of it's a mothering energy that we see about us here. So that's maybe something for them to bear in mind. Remember, you're looking to get together with this person as a prospective partner. So maybe there might be a bit of an issue of mothering them, which is an issue that people of all genders can have. Um, let's look at the partner. So we've got the Magician. So, I mean, two very forceful personalities here, very skilled and very kind of able to stand in their own power, or in their case, both of them sit in their own power. But neither of them are scared of the heat. Neither of them are scared to kind of get in and amongst it. The Magician is the master of all elements, and in particular, we see the way the Magician's dress here kind of resembles water. And obviously we have the cup, we have the kind of a watery aspect of of all the goddesses. For me, goddesses are linked to water, the element of water, as queens are. Um, so we're getting this kind of a real watery and emotional aspect to both, but they have other skills, they have other kind of tools in their belt, as it were. Um, the the magician can sometimes symbolize someone who is maybe a wee bit show offy, not necessarily, but they're very kind of confident in their own skills, and depending on how that person deals with that energy, they can be quite, it can just lead to their ego being more, um, a wee bit more fierce than what some people can handle. But then, with that said, if anyone can handle it, it would be the Goddess of Pentacles. Or the Goddess of Pentacles is one example of who can handle it. Now, we've looked at the two as separate entities. Let's look at the mutual dynamic. We have the Ace of Swords coming in between them. Okay. Um, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. For me, the Ace of Swords represents both of them having to take on a new perspective, having to look at things a bit differently, having to adopt that beginner mindset and just take the whole intellectual side of things back to zero, and maybe, just be open-minded. Um, Sometimes that Ace of Swords can represent a force, and that force can be for the joining, it can be for the relationship, it can be cutting away all obstacles that are between them, or it can be, it it can work against the relationship. So there's definitely kind of potential for it to go both ways. We see the sword here that the magician is holding, and we see the sword that in the middle. So maybe these are one and the same. Maybe it's this magician that needs to be careful about their mindset, about the way that they're looking at things. Interestingly, what we see with both individuals is this one has their eyes closed and they're facing outwards. The Goddess of Pentacles is facing outwards. Neither of them seem to be kind of facing in towards each other. So for me, what I would be saying about this relationship that I'm seeing in front of me is there's definitely obstacles and things to be overcome if we're going to make it an absolute success. It might be that these two individuals are just too forceful, too high energy, too powerful to actually be contained. But then people surprise you all the time, don't they? But there we go. That I'll leave it there. That was just a sample reading to let you see the cards in action, and let you see them kind of laid out next to each other. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that it's been, you know, helpful, meaningful. I hope that you love the deck as much as I do. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.